And welcome back, everyone, to our second set of the day of Fresh Start Cup, our day two kind of top 12, I guess, going into semifinals and then grands later today. So that was a really quick closeout. What'd you think, Milana?
I thought that the No Names League definitely played their best game, and it was really well played. They knocked out the other team both times, so I'm looking forward to seeing what more they bring to this tournament.
Yeah, me too. I think that they had a couple of names last week that we were really responding to, and they played really well. So a lot of the teams that we're looking at coming up today have been doing really well. They did great last week, so it seems like everybody's pretty evenly matched up, and I'm really excited to see how it all comes together. I don't really have any predictions for our kind of top 6 to single elimination, so I was incorrect about that before. I thought it was going to top 3, but it's top 6. So, I'm really excited to see who's going to be up there.
I can imagine that Killer Bees might be one of the top 6 because I do know one of the players on that team, and she is really, really like a dynamite roller player. Yeah. So I'm really looking forward to seeing where Killer Bees will take them.
Yeah, I think I could agree with you. I know they played really well. We were super impressed to watch them play last week. There were a couple of people who we had heard of before on that team. So that's going to be really exciting. Obviously, No Names League played really well today, just now. So I think that they kind of have a chance. But it looks like it's going to be top 3 from each group that move forward. So that's, how it's going to work out. So it's going to be an awesome day. I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing who takes the whole cup, the very first Fresh Start Cup victory.
So how it's going to work is the top 2 teams from today are going to go on to the New Teams International Cup. And what that is it's there are 6 regions competing kind of all over the world this month to send 2 teams to this New Teams International Cup. And then they'll all face off, and it'll be an awesome time. So it's a really cool way to bring the entire community together across the globe.
Definitely. I just really like what like the people who are behind this are doing for the community. I think it's really, really cool.
I think it's awesome. It's, a really fun thing, and all of the organizers have been really great about, figuring out the rules and coming up with a way that everybody can kind of get involved and make sure that everybody has a good time. So it's really fun.
Yeah, I know, like, since I stream, I have a lot of people who come through and they're like, I want to get into the competitive scene. I don't know how. So this is definitely the way to do it, guys.
Yeah, for sure. And it sounds like we're getting right into this tower control on Kelp Dome. So we just saw a tower control map, and I wonder, how we're going to do with Euphoria versus Miruku Last Dance.
I know that in general for tower control maps, you'll definitely see a lot of blasters because it's a very targeted area, a targeted objective that you want to kind of, get the opponent off of. So you'll see, I think on Euphoria there are some blasters on both teams actually.
Yeah, it looks like both team is running at least, one blaster on each team. So that's definitely going to do, like you said, kind of put a lot of that pressure on the tower to get the team members off there. But it looks like right now, Miruku has been getting a lot more picks so far, but they haven't really touched tower as far as objective goes. It gives the opportunity for Euphoria to bring out that Stingray, and finally Miruku is getting on tower.
And just from a quick glance at the map, it looks like Miruku has a lot of turf control, which is helping them to be able to push that tower farther than Euphoria was pushing it.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And they're pushing so far in. It looks like someone from Euphoria has worked their way around to try to come around and flank, but they're just not moving forward fast enough. Dash is able to get a few picks off the tower and gives the opportunity for Euphoria to take it back and bring it back to mid.
But a 47 on Kelp Dome is not like impossible to get around. Like it is very easy to push the tower to that point.
Yes.
Talking is not my forte. I just keep saying words until it makes sense.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it does look like we have a DC on the side of Miruku, on the side of Euphoria. So I'm not totally sure kind of what's going to happen. It looks like both teams have sort of stopped playing. But as far as I had known, our DC rules were to play it out. So I'm not really sure how it changes in a best of 3, especially for these early group stages. But it looks like they're going to end this match with no contest from the side of Euphoria. So I'm just waiting for our TOs to kind of give me a ruling on this. Do we have our replay cam in today? So do we know at what point it happened of the game? $47. If it did happen at 47, rules say the game counts and we do not replay. I'm just waiting for a kind of a TO ruling on this to make sure. I mean, it happened after the first minute, and I believe that that was in the rule set that if it was before the first minute, it was a replay.
Mm-hmm.
In 250 or under 50 score. It's a replay then. There we go.
Okay.
So we are going to replay that same match. Thank you, TOs, for giving us that ruling there. So I'm just going to go ahead and write that down for my notes too.
Awesome. I think that this replay will be really good because in the beginning, I felt like both of the teams were pretty evenly matched. So we'll see how the second time plays through.
Yeah, awesome. And we're loading up very quickly right into this. Anyone who is new to kind of competitive Splatoon, this might be your first tournament watching. Replays usually happen that you cannot change your gear or your weapon. So everything should be ready up. It readies up like this very quickly, and we go right into this match. So obviously we're looking at the same comps, but I think it's always interesting when you have a replay because each team has a little bit more of a feel for how the other team is going to do things. And we can totally tell that that has affected play right now because when we saw this earlier, Euphoria kind of made a beeline for dead center, and now they've spread out and they are taking out a lot of these members of Miruku before they have an opportunity to get them.
Yeah, and in the beginning, the roller on, what do you call it? On Miruku, I think, was trying to flank, but the flank was stopped quite quickly.
Yes. Yeah, we saw them back off really fast. And I think that that's something to be said about this map, too. There's a lot of alleyways and avenues that you can kind of traverse to get to the opposing team's side, but if you're not ready, or like that, unfortunately, you get stuck under the grates in an inkjet. But if you're not ready to use your special to kind of save you from a situation, it does get very difficult to break out of mid in this map.
Yeah, I definitely think that that's what's most frustrating about this map for myself. Just having to look all around you to make sure that no one is anywhere near you, considering there are so many avenues and ways to get to where you are.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It's really difficult, too, if you're up on those grates. If you don't utilize those boxes that are strategically placed to refill your ink, it's hard to kind of continue to use your weapon and use your ink. So it's just really a pathway to kind of get throughout the map.
But the grates aren't all bad because I believe that when you are targeted by missiles and you stand under the grates, the missiles won't hit you.
Yep.
So that is something that you can definitely use to your advantage when you are playing on this map as well.
Yeah, same if somebody splashdowns on the grate, you're safe underneath there.
Yeah.
So,
sure.
you know, there's lots of different ways that you can use this map to your advantage. Looks like we just had a 3-down situation on the side of Euphoria, so Miruku is pushing forward, kind of trying to take the lead, but it doesn't, I mean, they're still a little bit away. It seems like as tower reset to mid, they're not going to get it as quickly. This is when they need to kind of begin to be pushing forward.
Definitely. It looks like in general, neither team is trying to push the tower significantly from the middle, which is something that you want to kind of just keep in mind when you're playing a ranked mode. You want to kind of focus on the objective as much as you can, with, of course, keeping in mind of where your enemies are and how much turf you have around the objective.
Completely. I think that's always, you know, we were talking in chat a little bit earlier that every ranked mode is basically turf with like a stronger objective. And, you know, you had said that when I saw you at LA Splat 3. And it's like, it's really true. It's kind of one of the true statements of this game that if you don't have map control on here, you're not going to be able to push objective and you're not going to be able to do what you need to do to win the game.
Yeah. I know that generally when I lose games, I check the map and I'm like, wow, we couldn't move anywhere. And that's generally what causes you to lose, other than, you know, not pushing the objective and stuff.
Completely.
Parties and stuff.
Being locked into your own spawn is probably one of the worst ways to kind of do it. So.
But it seems like this game is still really close at the 120 mark. It really still could be anybody's game.
Yeah, I think both teams are playing really well, kind of trying. They're really evenly matched. It definitely seems like it's going to go to time to this. And it looks like, I mean, as they're going, you know, they just continue to, one person comes up, someone else goes down.
Yeah. I think they might be playing a little bit too safely, but that also might be because of the DC. Usually when something like that happens, my team or like people I play with get pretty rattled. So then they like start to like pull back a little bit.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I think you're absolutely right that each team is playing a little bit safer than maybe they could be. But that was a great bomb placement there, taking off those members of the tower. And it did not stop the push, though, because we still have someone from Euphoria over there. 2 members kind of pushing forward as Miruku continues to respawn and kind of break their way out of their spawn there.
Yeah, and using that stingray right there where that tower has a straight path is such a smart move. It really keeps the other team from being able to get on that tower to take it back.
Yeah, I think that was a great placement there. And it looks like at this point, kind of game is going to go to Euphoria. So great job for them for winning that. And, you know, you can definitely see that the DC does count in that situation because, you know, if they hadn't had the DC in that first time we played through, it would have been a different situation. So,
yeah.
We're going to cut to a quick replay of the triple that Dash was able to get at the beginning of the game. I love this replay cam, too. It's so
really cool.
Yeah, I think... can I hear you, Trevor? Okay. I didn't know if they could or not, so they can or cannot. Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so Trevor just said that really set the pace for the game, and he's absolutely correct. You know, having that triple go in was something that, you know, was able to kind of create the beginnings for how the match was going to go. It looked like somebody may have dropped from the lobby, so we're just waiting for them to re-enter, and then we'll be continuing forward.
Awesome. So our next map and mode is Rainmaker on Piranha Pit. I know a lot of people don't like Piranha Pit, but I am probably of the minority who, of people who love all modes on Piranha Pit.
I do too. I love this map. I think it's so much fun. It's designed really, really well. My favorite area is that kind of like fishing zone that's off to the right and the left side where they have the little barbecue. I think it's so fun. There's, you know, a lot to be said for Rainmaker on Piranha Pit to, you know, you have kind of one really direct path that you're going to take to push Rainmaker, and it can get really challenging, especially if the team is prepared at their base, you know, up that ramp. So I can't wait to see how it comes together. So what do you love about this map?
For Rainmaker, I just like how open it is. It's very, very different than the other 3 modes in this map. Because everything is very spread out and it's a very long map. So you can definitely hope to see that your teammates will super jump to each other, because otherwise it's a really long walk back to the Rainmaker.
Yes, that is very true because the map is really big and very difficult to get around if you're not ready to do that or if you don't have beacons.
For sure. So maybe we'll see some beacon plays.
Yeah, that would
but
be really fun.
But I think, honestly, my favorite mode for this map is Clam Blitz.
Yeah, I love Clam Blitz on this map too. I love how close the basket is to spawn.
Yes. I love how close everything is to each other. It's just, it's so much fun to play, especially as someone who likes to play short to mid-range shooters.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's so much fun. I mean, Clam Blitz in general is my favorite, like, full stop, but definitely on this map, it's so much fun to play because it's a whole new level of Havoc.
For sure. I just think it's so crazy and it's just so much fun.
And it looks like, from what we heard, one of our teams, I think it was Miruku, is subbing someone in. So that's where our time delay is coming from here. So they should be up pretty quickly. It sounds like they just entered into the lobby. So we're going to be getting ready to go right now.
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to this match. I mean, both teams were pretty evenly matched for the most part. So I'm hoping to see a really close game for the next set too.
Yeah, me too. This is going to be so good. And like we were saying earlier, you know, this map is so much fun to play in any of the modes, really. But, you know, especially Rainmaker, it's the one that I think Clam Blitz people complain about in solo queue, but I think Rainmaker is one of the ones that people have the most frustration, I guess, with their teammates in solo queue too. So
yeah,
you have to really work as a team.
I actually find that Rainmaker is much more difficult in solo queue than Clams is. Like, you can kind of push by yourself in Clams, but with the Rainmaker, there's nowhere you can go by yourself.
Yeah, it's so true. And it sounds like we're getting right into this next game. So here we go, Rainmaker on Piranha Pit.
Awesome. So it looks like both teams are running a fairly mid to long range comp. We can see a heavy on Euphoria, which might be definitely useful when it comes to just the length and the space in this map.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think also what's kind of an interesting pick is the glue guns on the side of Miruku. I think having those walls is really helpful, even though this map is kind of open and it's not going to be as useful as in, say, Walleye. It's nice to have them because it will help stop the enemy team from kind of making their way towards you as you push forward.
There seems to be a DC on
the side of
Euphoria. Yeah. So.
I wonder if it was the same player as last time, and it looks like, I'm not sure if the teams have kind of all realized this yet, because Euphoria is still playing it out.
Yeah, as if there wasn't a DC, which is interesting. But what did the rules say if they decide to play it out, even with a DC, and they lose? Do they get to replay it?
As far as I know, the rules are replay if it's under, if it's with under 2 minutes, like over, 2 minutes and 50 seconds. So as far as I know, it's a replay no matter what. And I'm just checking in with the TOs if that's correct or not. If Euphoria had kind of pushed it through and won, and then they replay and they lost, that's where it kind of gets a little frustrating. And we've had that happen. And, I think you were here for that LAN experience.
Oh, yes. So, the grand finals.
And it's, a pretty frustrating time there. But, because you could never really say if Euphoria, I'm not sure. It looks like both teams are continuing to play. So TOs say it should count.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Maybe Euphoria is deciding to play it through because they already have that one up on them. So even if they lost, they have that third game as like kind of a buffer.
Yeah, completely. Definitely something to consider there, because we are in best of 3 that they already have won. So, you're absolutely right. They could be saying, okay, we're going to kind of play this through and prove that we can still handle a 3v4 situation, because they are continuing to play. So let's see how this all goes.
And they do still have the lead with that 3v4. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, TO say it counts for sure because there's only 1 replay per round. So, regardless of DC rules at this point, they've already had 1 replay. So Miruku is going to go ahead and knock that out with the Rainmaker on the pedestal.
Interesting. All right. I wish we saw a more evenly matched round, but Miruku did play a good game, and they got that point.
I think it's very difficult, like you were saying earlier, that it kind of like shakes a couple of people when you have a DC, and I think it kind of gets in your head a little bit.
Yeah.
This is hard.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I sometimes feel the same way too. Like, oh no, we can't we can't push back anymore, and then it just goes downhill from there.
I've also had the reverse happen where, you are on that team that has a DC and you're a 3v4 situation, and for whatever reason, you're able to make that final push and knock it out. And that's like a great feeling too.
And it feels really bad if you're on the team of 4.
Yeah. So true. So finally, I'm super excited. We get to see some clam blitz on Port Mackerel. So this is going to be really great. This is not my favorite clam blitz map simply because where basket is placed, I feel like it's very difficult to get back to once you've respawned if you are knocked out and you're trying to defend. So I think that's going to create a little bit of chaos, but, it's clam blitz, so there's always going to be chaos.
And I think what I like about Port clams is that when the match starts off, there's like a million clams on the ground. Like, there are a lot of clams and they're all in a row. So I've definitely seen some ink brushes just pick up every clam and then just throw it right in one fell swoop.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And, as soon as you have that speed on your side, if you can use those alleyways to your advantage, we saw in the last one someone using the Glooga Doolies with that splash wall. So that could be something that we see here too, having that comp of someone who can run really quickly, create that defense, run through it very fast, pick up as many clams as possible, and continue to dunk. I think they also have ball on those Gloogas, which is always useful in clams, so...
Yeah, for sure. And especially in Port, the small alleys make it so that specials are especially effective.
Yes.
So things like bubbles get like trapped in those tiny quarters. I know. Or things like a tent umbrella that you could like just literally launch your tent and the whole alley is covered.
It's so true. It's terrifying. Tent umbrella plays some really great I've seen some really great plays on Clam Blitz with Tent umbrella as well. So
yeah, for sure.
Excited. Interesting. So they did decide to swap out with those. Each team does have the Slosher Deco, though, which is kind of the weapon that I main, especially for this mode. So, I'm super happy to see that.
It's definitely been a really popular pick as of recent. I know a lot of people are trying to pick it up. That baller can be pretty deadly.
Mm-hmm. Especially in, this type of situation when you're able to kind of have ball ready. It's going to really help you to create that final push. And it looks like what Haiku is doing is a great strategy here. Picking up the power clam, kind of throwing it, and picking up some other smaller clams, whether to try to create a second power clam and juggle the two, or just to make so that the other team can't pick them up is both, really great idea.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And what's important to know about holding the clam is that it really just gives away your position. So by throwing it away from you, you kind of hide yourself a little bit better.
Yes, for sure. Each time that they kind of toss this clam, they are picking up a couple of more. It looks like a teammate did pick up the power clam there. So there's an opportunity there's so many clams right here. Just like you were talking about how many clams are on this map.
So many.
Oh my gosh. Coming in, this is a 3-down situation. Perfect opportunity for Euphoria to dunk that first power clam. And it looks like they have a second one that they're able to get in, bringing the score down to 60 very fast in this game.
Yeah, and for sure. And when you have someone, say with a baller pushing up into the basket, you may want to consider jumping to that person, even if it will kill you, especially if you have a ball, because you can throw the ball before you die into the basket.
Yes, unless you're on land.
Yes.
Which is learned the hard way at SNS. But, it's definitely something to think about, all these different strategies. And like we were talking about, why ball could be so important here.
And I think that's just really why I love Clam Blitz. Like, all of a sudden, you could be like 1 point left in the basket, and then the other team wins, or vice versa. It's like the matches just can turn around so quickly. I think it's really exciting.
Oh, it's so fun. I absolutely agree with you. Even having this inkjet, it looks like, Euphoria, they missed on their first throw. They do get it in on the second one, so this blaster does have the inkjet. Unfortunately, goes down before they're able to use it. And Euphoria throws up a splash wall to kind of create a little bit extra defense and make sure that no one else can just slip on in.
And something that you want to keep in mind when you're playing Clam Blitz is that your first push actually, I would argue, matters the most. Only because you don't have that like point buffer that you have to get through the first time you break the barrier. Whereas as you see on Miruku, they have that plus 10. So now every time if they threw a clam in, they only get 10 points versus if they have 20 points in.
You're absolutely right. I completely agree with you. That first push is so important. This is where it's a little bit dangerous. Here, Miruku is they're able to get that 10 down really quickly. Someone does have the ball. They're tossing some single clams in. A little bit of sharking coming around here too, getting a couple picks to kind of keep that basket open as long as possible.
Yeah, and here is what you were talking about earlier about how in Port, it's really easy to like keep the other team in their spawn, which is pretty much one of the only complaints I have about Port. Whereas if you're like trapped in there, you're really trapped in there.
Yes. It's so true. It's like it's deadly in there.
Definitely. Yeah, I feel it.
So far, though, this is pretty nice because both teams have the same penalty, and it will take a whole power clam to knock down that penalty on both sides. So even though the distance in the score is not that great, you need basically two power clams on the side of Euphoria in order to take lead right now.
So using this time to build up the clams is definitely worthwhile, for sure.
Unfortunately, someone does go down that was holding a power clam, and I'm not sure if any of the other teammates are going to be able to get there in time. They do pick it up, and it looks like Dash is making a dash for the basket and stays alive. Misses the throw, though, so someone else picks it up and tosses it in the basket, and they do take the lead because they get those two power clams in very quickly.
That was a crazy play.
Yeah, that's what Clam Blitz is all about to me. It's those plays like that.
Agreed. And if you're playing Clam Blitz and someone ballers up to your basket with a clam, don't pop them.
Oh, yes.
Don't do it.
I always say that. That is the biggest thing. Here it looks like right at the end, we had two power clams go in on the side of Miruku for them to take the lead. Just like you were talking about, super jumping in. That's where it happens.
That is why I love Clam Blitz. It just literally goes back and forth the entire match.
It really does. It's so fun. I hope we can get that up on our replay cam to see the very end of that last match for the opportunity for Miruku to take the lead.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Folks. Dude, I'm so ready for this.
I know. I'm just, because we were talking through the last one, so I didn't get to see the setup or anything, so now I'm like super paying attention. And it looks like there are two power clams that were built sort of in the back there. Someone coming to the front. Meek moving through, gets over to basket, pops ball, and someone jumps in right underneath basket, and that's where they're able to get those two power clams in. Great play right there from Miruku. Exactly what we want to see in Clam Blitz.
Yeah, that was crazy because while the other team was focused on that baller who just popped, the other teammates like jumped in and saved the day.
Yeah, exactly. Great, absolutely awesome time. So far, it's been, really fun to see everybody coming through. I kind of missed on the score there. I believe that's a win for Miruku on that set
Mhm.
because they won the first one and this one. I'm keeping track on my notes
They
here.
won the second one and the third one.
The second one and the third one? Yeah. Two.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
But I don't know, maybe if Euphoria didn't have that disconnect in the second round, things
Yeah.
could have been different. So, folks, invest in your LAN adapters.
Perfect PSA for that right there. We're going to cut to a quick break as we get set up for our next round. So stay tuned, hang in there, and we'll see you soon.